Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn all the most efficient, powerful, abundant ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent, increasing revenue year over year. I cover topics from pricing, sales, networking, objections, ideal clients, some marketing ideas, and really about how to increase your cash flow and profitability and set boundaries so you have the firm that you've always dreamt of. You're no longer giving away your time for free. You're no longer putting yourself on sale, and you are being paid for the value and worth that clients actually appreciate you for. So you'll learn tips and strategies as well as hear personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm of your dreams and the life full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is on a passionate mission to help already successful professional salespeople and entrepreneurs skyrocket their revenue and results by sharing the secrets of the subconscious communication. He is an author, speaker, sales trainer, and a master hypnotist and a master trainer of neuro-linguistic programming. For over 30 years, Paul has taught thousands of people the beauty and power of language to influence, persuade, and heal. But before we welcome him to the show, if you are a smart, hardworking, bookkeeping, tax, or accounting professional, and you think the way to get clients or retain your current ones is to keep your fees low, keep discounting, or even do free work and simply work a lot of hours emailing, texting, and doing calls with clients and not charging them, it is not true. We both know that will end up with burnout, growing resentment for your clients, and for the work that you do. The firm owners I work with, they charge premium fees by ethically doubling or tripling their fees to current clients, following a much newer and simpler method that I've created here at the Abundant Accountant. It allows firm owners to charge fees with confidence, get paid first and upfront, and double their firm revenue while working less, having you have total financial security and the freedom that you've always wanted in your firm. So if you are ready to make that change and start creating the firm that you've always dreamt of, head on over to theabundantcall.com and book a call with me and my team. Welcome, Paul, to the show.
Always a pleasure, Michelle, to be addressing your audience. It's been way too long. I think it's been a year and a half.
I know it's been way too long, but I love this topic that we're going to talk about today and reframing how we hear sales, understand the word sales, and having a new perspective for all of the listeners who own an accounting, tax, or bookkeeping firm. But before we dive into our conversation today, for those of the listeners that don't know you, could you share 30 seconds of who you are and what you do so we know exactly who we're hearing from today?
Thank you, Michelle. Well, I am the author of the book, Subtle Words That Sell. I am a podcaster, a speaker, a master hypnotist, a master trainer of neuro-linguistic programming, and a healer, and a cat fancier. I love my kitty cats.
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited to have you here. And I think a lot of firm owners come to me, fearing the word sales, or Michelle, I don't have a sales process. I started this firm. I didn't think I had to sell. Why is this word such like a bad 4-letter word for so many people, Paul?
I think that people have sold themselves and allowed the media to sell them on the image of the salesperson as being the high pressure, slick, script, spit, and Rick. Say that 10 times backwards. The sleazy car salesman, used car salesman who uses pressure tactics, or, I'm going to go fight for you with my manager. And everyone knows it's BS. And people are hip to it. People don't like it. And naturally, if you feel that what you're doing is putting one over on other people, you're going to feel bad about it. And I want to say to all the accountants and CPAs and everyone else who owns a firm out there, bless you for loving what you do. But if you don't know how to sell it, the people who could really use your services are never going to find out about it. And you're not going to be able to put food on the table and even attain the financial freedom that you get under Michelle's guidance. So That just makes sense, does it not?
Well, and it does to maybe me and you, and we can use this as an example. The other day, a lot of people want to leave the corporate world. They want to quit their corporate job. They don't want to slave away for someone else and work 9 to 10 at night for somebody else and climb the corporate ladder and have someone else dictate and cap their salary and cap how much they're going to make. So they say, okay, I'm going to go start my accounting, tax, or bookkeeping firm without even understanding that we have to have sales as the forefront before you even have any leads or get any marketing in place, because otherwise you will severely discount yourself. You feel like you can't communicate your worth or your value. And I was speaking to a gentleman the other day. He has severely discounted himself. He was charging about $60 an hour.
Oh,
which
dear.
is less than a lot of personal trainers. He has a CPA, plenty of other credentials. And if you're working for less than $60 an hour, you should really be paying close attention to our conversation today, because you are severely underpaid and not getting paid what you're worth. But more importantly, not having a plan to really grow a profitable firm. That's just a plan to go fall back and get a corporate job or get another job.
Or go on unemployment. It's not a good idea.
Right. So what are a few ways, Ross, that, people can really have a unique way to reframe sales and to see that this is the most important element in any firm, in any business, and that without sales, you can't even have expenses. You can't have net income. You can't have profit. And that without a sales plan and understanding that if we don't sell, we're actually hurting our clients and not serving, that we can't even spend money on marketing or going to any marketing events if we don't know how to convert.
Correct. So I want to say this. My perspective comes from, I started from outside the field of selling. I started as a healer. I've been doing clinical hypnotherapy for 30 years. And one of the things I've learned about people is people operate out of beliefs. We all know this, but people have beliefs in a certain hierarchy. And I'm going to nail this directly into sales and keep it non-technical, because I know this has been a point between you and I. So I'll keep it very simple. People have beliefs about what's possible for them, what's possible for other people, what's possible to do in the world. Capability. What are they capable of doing? What are they capable of achieving? And their beliefs about what they deserve. And finally, beliefs about their identity. Now, this is really, really important. To me, sales is not just about asking the right questions and using the power of suggestion to suggest ideas into your prospect's mind. Here's the really crazy idea. It's about expanding their mind to include new possibilities, new ideas, successes they didn't even believe were possible or that they deserved. Can I use a metaphor for that, Michelle?
Yes, please.
All right. So let's say someone decides to spend a lot of money. They go on a beautiful vacation to Tahiti. They're staying in a 5-star resort. Picture they have this beautiful bayfront window from wall to wall. They look out, they can see the beautiful view of the crystal clear water, the stars coming out at night, but they're busy turned around looking through that little peephole through the door out into the hallway to see that nobody's coming. Our job is to turn them around and show them the vision of what's possible for them. So for me, selling is about creating those states of consciousness, not just selling your offer your services, because you're never selling your product or service, Michelle. You're always selling decisions and good feelings about decisions. But here's the thing. So many of your clients don't believe that they deserve to have what it is you're offering. They don't believe they deserve it. Not only do they not believe it's possible, they don't believe they deserve it. So when you expand their mind to include the possibility that they can have it and that they can deserve it, that's a heroic act, and it's a healing act. So if you think of yourself as a sales hero, if you really get that you're doing your clients a service, not just in terms of helping them with their taxes or their accounting, but you're helping them do a expansion of their mind into a new set of ideas about what they deserve and what they can do in the world, that's a profoundly heroic and healing thing. You can't feel sleazy or scummy when you feel like a hero, can you?
No, you can't. So, what are some ways, maybe one or two, that you can share with someone who might be newer to their farm or they've been doing it completely backwards for the last 30 years and they don't see it as a heroic act? They don't see it as a healing act. They still need a reframe on how to move into that direction when they think of growing their top line revenue in their firm. What are one or two actions and things that they can do to really start to shift the mindset and reframe this perspective?
I can give you a couple of really quick ones that are really clever. Perfect. So I would like everyone listening to this wonderful podcast to write down the word deserve. DESERVE. All right. If you've done that, if you haven't done it, take 10 seconds to do it. Now cross out the DE. What does that spell?
Serve.
Exactly. So what you deserve is equal to or greater than the amount or degree to which you serve. So when you are in service to someone, it increases your sense of deservingness. But also what happens is when you're in service to someone, they on the deep unconscious level, because I'm also a hypnotist, if you're in rapport with someone, they take on the same state of mind, the same state of consciousness you're in. So let me give you an example. Let's say you approach a situation and you're very nervous and you're really overinvested in the outcome. If you're in deep rapport with someone, they're going to feel what you feel, but they're not going to know why they feel that way. They're going to think they feel that way because you're not trustworthy. So when you first start with yourself, when you create that state of mind in yourself that you deserve to be successful, and I've already given you a little cue, and you're in rapport with your prospect, they're going to begin to believe that they deserve to have what it is you're offering. They won't pick up on it consciously. It will be unconsciously. It'll be subconscious. And it's the subconscious where we make the most important decisions. We may want to think, yes, I understand. As accountants, CPAs, you understand the numbers, you understand spreadsheets. By the way, Michelle and I are friends, and I can't read a spreadsheet to save my life. Michelle loves spreadsheets. Wasn't your nickname at one point Spreadsheet or something like that? Yeah. Yes. No. I have accountants. Oddly, I have accountants and bookkeepers and such for all of that, and financial advisors and such. So that's one thing, to understand that when you deserve, it's equal to or greater to the amount in which you serve, and you have to be in rapport to transmit that. Mm-hmm. The second thing to understand, that this is really powerful. This is going to change your life, not just in terms of running a successful firm and selling your services, but in your relationships with your spouse, the significant others, your friends, your children. And it's this: people behave, think, respond, move through the world in fixed patterns. When you break those patterns, it's called a pattern interrupt. People become suggestible. And when they're suggestible, they're open to new ideas. May I give you a concrete, simple, non-technical example?
Let's give an example of patterns that people are in. And then an example of a pattern interrupt that a firm owner could actually use when communicating with a prospect or a current client.
Sure. So let's say the prospective client says something along the lines of, well, I'm wondering if you could give me some free advice about this, and blah, 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 blah. And one of the things you teach that I love is to avoid that trap of getting stuck into giving free advice, because it devalues you, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And so I would break that person's pattern, and I would say, well, Mr. Smith, before we enter and explore how I can continue to be of service to you, I just want to suggest that what you get is what you only get in life, what you put into it. So I can't be the first one to agree that you want the very best from me. So thinking about it like that, Let's make sure I give you the very best by first evaluating what it is that you really need. Now, that's a big mouthful, and you're going to have to listen to this multiple times to write that down. And I get it. But this is essentially what you're doing is changing the frame, it's changing the meaning. I'll give you another one. Let's say someone says, well, why should I hire your firm? If you give data, facts, numbers, information about that, you're buying into the frame that they're the one who has the value. You understand? And you're sort of begging them to give you, to get their business through giving facts, data, figures, numbers. I would say something.
Which is the wrong way to approach it.
Totally the wrong way to approach it.
Wanted to make sure.
Because everyone else is doing that. Instead, I would say something confusing. I would say, well, Mr. Smith, I can't be the one to say just exactly how you'll find your own reasons to do exactly that. But as that's taking place, please feel free to share the questions that naturally arise when a great decision's being made. Now, that's completely vague, and I don't expect your listeners or your audience to be able to master that. I understand. Break it down, listen to this episode, write it down. But here's another key principle for persuading influence in any area of life. And I understand this is focused on getting firms to be abundant and thriving. I get it. But this will work as a bonus with your significant others, your friends, your kids, in negotiations, whatever. Whatever you can get the other person to imagine as being their own idea will be perceived by them as being their own thought, and therefore they will not resist it. And the best way to do that is to be vague. When you're vague, the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind, they're the same thing. I use the terms interchangeably because I am a hypnotist. It begins to search for the meaning, and it will fill in the blanks for you, for them. So it seems like you're understanding.
Can you give a real life example of that that a firm owner can use?
Absolutely. So let's say someone says, why should I pay? I don't want to pay such a high fee.
Okay.
And the pattern interrupt would be, well, Mr. Smith, what you haven't yet realized is with the right accountant or the right CPA, you're not paying a fee. You're investing in skills. Oh, what a reframe that is, because no one wants to pay and no one likes the word fee. You're not paying a fee. You're investing in skills, because at the end of the day, isn't it the most important thing, the maximum amount of money you get to keep in your pocket every year? So thinking about it like that, let's take a deep dive into what it is you really need from me. Did you hear that last bit? Let's take a deep dive into what it is you really need from me. Not what I can do for you, but what you need from me.
Right. And most firm owners and people without a sales background will say what I can do for you, and then talk about price and numbers and accounting jargon, where we don't get that. And that's why I think the sales aspect of things is seen to be such a negative, word, instead of having it a heroic act, as you said, or a healing act. Because when you sell, you are serving and you are helping people. But as crazy as this sounds, we can't and have to stay away from talking about price and numbers. And we
absolutely you do. And not only that, here's a weird quirk about human nature. People devalue things that don't. Dan Kennedy, who's one of the giants of marketing, he was one of my marketing and selling gurus. He's still around, but he's up there in years. Dan Kennedy said, if your fee doesn't sting just a little bit, if your price point doesn't sting just a little bit, you're underselling. People don't put value on things that don't have a significant price point, and they won't take action on it because they don't think it has much of any value at all. That's why I charge, when I consult, I charge as much as I possibly can, to the point where it stings a little bit, because otherwise people won't value it. And if they don't value you, guess what they don't give you? They don't give you referrals, no matter how well you serve them. If you serve them, if they perceive they're underpaying you, they're like, people feel about us the way they treat us. People don't treat us the way they feel about us.
Mm-hmm.
People feel about us according to how they treat us. That's a crazy, at least in the beginning, while the relationship is first being established. That's why if someone doesn't show up for a consulting call, they now view you as being of less value because they didn't show up. So therefore, you can't be of much value because they flaked on you. By the way, you should never tolerate that. Please, accountants, firm owners, value yourself. If they don't show up for the call, they have done you a favor. They have shown, I'm not going to swear on your show because I know that's not that kind of show. They have shown you what a P and the A they are, and you don't need that.
Yeah, well, and they're just going to be what we call them a pitta client, and it's not going to do anybody a good service because it's just going to be another client that you're not going to want to deal with. So thank you so
what
much.
Kind of client, Michelle?
Pitta, pain in the.
Okay, all right. I didn't want to say it, but okay, yes, that's what I meant. I'm being respectful.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much, Paul, for sharing all of this knowledge and wisdom today.
It's my honor.
I know it was a very short amount of time, but with a lot, and there were a lot of tongue twisters in there. And I do believe that for some of you, where to understand how sales plays the most important role in your firm, you might want to re-listen to this once, twice, or 3 times. Because I want you to get that you are, and that when you're selling and meeting prospects and new clients and current clients and increasing your prices, this is a healing act. You're healing your prospects and clients. And it's important to do because when you sell, you're not only serving, but you're healing people. And I love how you ended it and sharing that if your fee doesn't sting a little bit, you are underselling and undervaluing yourself. So,
absolutely.
Paul, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up today?
No, I want to add 2 things. First of all, Michelle, you're going to shy away from the word. I think you're a genius as a teacher, and you're a genius in your knowledge of your field. So people, I know you're not going to like hearing that. You'll try to humble your way out of it, but people are lucky to undertake you as their teacher and their mentor. You've helped me personally in so many ways. So I want to thank you for your genius in my business and in my personal life, and say that it's an honor to be serving your audience. I really mean it. Can I tell people briefly about my book and how they can get it?
Of course, go for it.
So my book is called Subtle Words That Sell: How to Get Your Prospects to Convince Themselves to Buy and Add Top Dollar to Your Bottom Line. You can get it absolutely free, along with a 15-minute video training on how to crush objections. If you go to paulrossbook.com, it's absolutely free as digital downloads. Awesome. Thank you again, Michelle, for the honor of being in service to you.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to have you, and looking forward to doing this again, but a lot sooner than a year and a half. So
yes,
thank you again.
A lot sooner.
Thank you all so much for joining Paul and I today on another amazing episode of the Abundant Accountant Podcast. If you are like so many smart, hardworking tax, bookkeeping, and accounting firm owners, and you think that the way to get new clients or retain your current ones is to keep your fees low and not have them sting, or do free work and simply work more hours, it is not true. And we both know that ends up in burnout, growing resentment for your clients and the work you do. The firm owners I work with at the Abundant Accountant, they charge premium fees by ethically doubling and tripling their fees to current clients. We're using a far simpler method that I've created here, and it allows the firm owners to charge fees with confidence, get paid up front and first, resulting in doubling firm revenue while working less, and giving you total financial security and the freedom that you've always wanted in your firm. If you are ready to make a change and start creating the firm you've always dreamt of, book a call with me and my team over at theabundantcall.com. Once again, that's theabundantcall.com, and let's start to reframe your view of selling. We look forward to talking to you soon.